What's up guys? You are watching my PvP Mage guide, which I have hilariously put off for so long, not because I didn't want to do it, but because other projects took priority. Those are done now, so I do apologize for the delay, but it is here now. First things first, do check out the PvE Mage guide if you haven't already, or don't, I won't be offended. Well, maybe a little bit. Just like the other video, I do not think this is the best of anything. By that I mean best PvP Mage setup, inscriptions, guides, tips, or whatever. People have asked and kind of harassed me to make a PvP guide, so if you find this helpful, that's awesome. If not, that's cool too. Lastly, it is impossible for me to cover every single scenario in PvP, because it is random sometimes. The best advice on top of whatever I say is to just practice dueling. Get to know what other classes can do to you and what you can do to other classes. Alright, let's get right into it. Before I say any more, we need a talent spec, so let's talk inscriptions. The setup that I use is Missile Flurry into Spare Ammo, the 30% chance for an extra missile procs often, which alone makes it worth it even without casting Fire Burst, or Meteorite for the 50% increased damage to burning targets. There is no situation where you can maintain burning condition on someone 100% of the time, so for that reason, Rocket Launcher is bad. Second, we have Arcane Blade into Parrying Blow. Obvious choice for PvP. This creates a shield that absorbs 10% of your max HP for 5 seconds and slows down enemy movement speed by 30% for up to 3 seconds total. Third, we have Fire Burst. Fire Burst depends on your preference. I actually don't use Fire Burst a lot in PvP since I feel it is a giant waste of mana. If I do use it, I'm hoping it crits so I can get my mana back with Phoenix Up. If I had more skill points to use, I would get Volcanic Eruption over Flame Split. The reason is because Eruption guarantees a crit that will always hit hard, whereas Flame Split could hit hard, but only if all 3 mini fireballs crit. That is the only way it'll do more damage than using Eruption. Regardless, this is a spell I don't use often for PvP anyways. 4. We have Arctic Blast into Deep Freeze. This is mainly used as a setup for casting Meteor or to get away. For fighting rangers, I sometimes do change over to Bitter Cold because I want to deal as much damage as fast as possible before they do to me. 5. We have Electrostatic into Under Pressure. I'm not sure if anyone noticed, but this got a buff from a 2-second stun to 3 seconds after update 2. This is a giant buff for mages since we can finally set up a meteor right after the stun. 2 seconds was not enough and people were able to walk out of the circle before you could finish casting it. Again, for rangers, I sometimes switch over to Rejuvenating Light because I want to minimize the amount of DPS they're doing to me while I try to do as much damage to them. Number 6, we have Lightning Arc into Electro Magic. We're using this to change the spell cost from 30 to 10 and benefit from the 20% increased crit damage buff. Everything else pretty much sucks for PvP. Number 7, we have Ice Blink into Frostbite. I like having the extra 2-second freeze on the teleport, act as another crowd control and snare effect. I used to like Slippery Slope, but I realized that unless I was trying to run away and get out of combat to regen my health, I found it useless in dueling. The reason is because after I teleport, my character would be too far away to hit the target. What is the point in having increased movement speed if you're going to be too far away to hit the opponent? For that reason, I like Frostbite the best. And finally, we have Meteorite into Space Thump. This is our bread and butter spell to start the big combos and damage. And of course, our passives. No matter what you choose, you need to have Wizardry. If you have the weapon card for the automatic wizardry effect, awesome. If you don't, equip it or you're going to have a really bad time. I have the weapon card effect, so I can use both critical mass and glass cannon, or glass cannon and cosmic shield. Those are the two passive setups I use. For someone that doesn't have the weapon card effect quite yet, I recommend wizardry and glass cannon, or wizardry and cosmic shield. Switch those two around because it does depend on what class you fight. Moving on, there really aren't any spell rotations to follow because you are dealing with actual players and it can be random. That said, I feel like there are some golden rules to follow. Never play offensive, your goal is to be as defensive as possible. By this, I mean keep your opponent away from you as much as you can with ice blinks and freezes. If a melee class does get in your face, always have Arcane Blade or Electrostatic to reduce damage taken while you try to get away. The only time it's okay to be offensive is if you know you can stun someone with Electrostatic followed by a Meteor. If you fail that, you lose a defensive spell and will get punished hard. Once you stun someone with Meteor, try to time the last second they are stunned with an Arcane Blade and run towards them. That way you position yourself in the AoE and your opponent has to either back away or get hit by the AoE. Kiting is not cheap, kiting is a strategy. The people that complain about being kited are people that don't know how to deal with it. That's their problem, not yours. Also, kiting is smart because you're waiting for spells to cool down. Use Lightning Arc whenever you can. Missile Flurry is your best friend. It is your best DPS spell at the cost of nothing. Use it, love it. Fire Burst is your worst friend. It does okay to maybe good damage at the cost of 1/3 your mana bar. Use it, and then wonder why you used it. Like I said earlier, there's no way I could cover every possible scenario in PvP. So the best I can do is give advice on how to deal with each class. None of this guarantees a win because I still lose my fair share, but I either come very close or I actually do beat these people. Let's talk everyone's favorite class to duel. Fighting Warriors. I categorize warriors as two things, Sword and Shield Warrior and Claymore Warrior. One is beatable, the other one is a fucking nightmare. Let's go over the nightmare first. That is Sword and Shield Warrior. This is all a battle of patience and attrition. Don't overextend yourself by being aggressive at all, and follow the bread and butter combos. Cast your Lightning Arc, bait the Spear Stun because you don't want your Meteor interrupted, teleport away, freeze them, Meteor for the stun, missiles, and then Arc Blade. By then, Static or Blink should be up to reduce the stun lock damage you'll be put in, or blink away and start kiting. I didn't try the kite method with this warrior, and I think it would have helped get the win, it just would have been slower. Chances are you won't outlast a SNS warrior, but you might just get close. A Claymore warrior is way more doable than a sword and shield user. They take far more damage, but hit way harder. It's never been more important to purposely kite as much as you can and stay away while doing damage. The same combos from SNS warriors are applied to Claymore warriors. Always bait out the spear stun, and then begin the meteor stun rotation. Expect to be put in some ridiculously long stun chains by warriors, and deal with it by casting Arc Blade, Static, or Blink. Fighting Rangers. This could go either way. Both mages and rangers can hit really hard, but rangers have the better class advantage since their spells are mostly instant cast. The idea is to do as much damage to them while minimizing the damage they do to you. Just stand still and cast your spells. Don't bother using static for the stun if you know you won't catch them. Just use it to reduce damage taken by 50% and unload as much DPS as possible. Fighting Mages. This is all about counterplaying your opponent. Don't be the first to use your defensive spells. Save Arcane Blade for when they try to cast Meteor on you to cut all damage taken. If they try to stun you with static, blink away. If they freeze you and then try to cast static, cast your own static and Arcane Blade to reduce damage. These fights could go either way if both mages have the same idea. I'm pretty sure he crashed here, but before that, it was a good fight, and you could see all the counters we were doing to each other. Fighting Blood Knights. Blood Knights are depressingly easy to beat as a mage. All you have to do is take advantage of their weaknesses. Bait out the Demon Wings to limit their range stun options, and bait out Blood Pool since that can break them out of freezes. If they silence you, just run away until it wears off. Literally don't do any combos until you know they've used Blood Pool, and then begin your free stun rotation. Fighting Monks. Monks can be just as frustrating as a sword and shield warrior. The same strategy you use for fighting warriors apply to monks as well. The only difference is you need to watch for the shields. If they pop a shield, cancel whatever spell you're casting and either Missile Flurry or auto attack the shield away while kiting. Be aggressive with static and get the stun and combo with Meteor any chance you get. In terms of difficulty, Claw Monks are one notch lower than SNS warriors, but higher than Claymore warriors.